Poetry Center, bringing poetry to Paterson since 1980 at Passaic County Community College.
Okay, our last reader today is January Gill O'Neill, and she's a senior writer and editor at Babson College. Her poetry and articles have appeared in Crab Orchard Review, Literary Mama, Fields, Callaloo, Seattle Review, Stuff Magazine, Poetry Thursday, and 2 Cave Canem anthologies, among others. In 2009, January was awarded a Money for Women Barbara Deming Memorial Fund grant. She was featured in Poets and Writers magazine, January-February 2010 Inspiration issue as one of their 12 debut poets. A Cave Canem Fellow, she's a senior writer, editor at Babson College, runs a popular blog called Poet Mom, and lives with her 2 children in Beverly, Massachusetts. I hope you'll join me in welcoming January Gill O'Neill, whose wonderful poems are extremely powerful and moving and touching and beautifully crafted as well. Let's welcome January Gill O'Neill.
Well, thank you, Maria. I had the pleasure of taking Maria's workshop with Laura Boss in December. So I just know she's a wonderful person. So big round of applause to you for putting all this together. And a round of applause for the finalists. I said on my blog that, I was my little open letter to Sherman Alexie. I'm really, sorry that you're not coming. But I think even more important, you're missing out on a chance to meet us. So,
That's true.
So his
Yes,
loss, yes, this is where it's at today.
Yeah.
And happy National Poetry Month. What a way to kick it off.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to read a few poems from my book, Underlife.
I think I should say that when January showed up in our workshop, it didn't occur to me that she was somebody who had won the poetry book
I didn't
award
put it together either.
until somebody said to me, she won your book award. And I thought, oh my God.
I didn't know either. Thank you. How to make a crab cake. Start with your own body. The small bones of the hands moving towards the inlets of the fingers. Wanting it too much invites haste. You must love what is raw and hungered for. Think of the crab cake as the ending, as you till away at the meat, digging for errant shells and jagged edges. Always it's a matter of guesswork, but you hold it together by the simplest of ingredients, for this is how the body learns to be generous, to forgive the flaws inherited, and enjoy what lies ahead. Yet you never quite know when it happens. The moment when the lumps transcend egg and breadcrumbs, the quiver of oil in a hot pan to become unworldly. The manifold of pleasure, with the sweet ache of crab still bright on your tongue. I went to another workshop, this one I was leading, and the organizer said, all of your poems have a food theme running in it. I mean, even the ones that aren't, that don't actually have a food, there's something in it that's food related, although this one is a food poem. In praise of okra. No one believes in you like I do. I sit you down on the table and they overlook you for fried chicken and grits, crab cakes and hush puppies, black-eyed peas and succotash and sweet potatoes and watermelon. Your stringy, slippery texture reminds them of the creatures from the movie Aliens. But I tell my friends, if they don't like you, they are cheating themselves. You were brought from Africa as seeds, hidden in the ears and hair of slaves. Nothing was wasted in our kitchens. We took the unused and the throwaways and made feasts. We taught our children how to survive, adapt. So I write this poem in praise of okra and the cooks who understood how to make something out of nothing. Your fibrous skin melts in my mouth, green flecks of flavor, still tough, unbruised, part of the fabric of earth, soul food. So this next poem is for my mom, who for many years worked in the neonatal ICU unit at Portsmouth Naval Hospital in Portsmouth, Virginia. So she worked a lot of overnight shifts, and she loved it. When she retired, she was happy to retire, but it was such a big part of our lives back then. Night work. After the families have visited for the evening, tethered their well wishes like balloons to the backs of chairs, taken photos of the first hours of life, my mother checks in on the preemies, often healthy, but occasionally too yellow or pink or blue. Deflated and in need of oxygen, they are held together by some order, exhausted by the urgency of being saved. For every tiny fledgling that leaves the unit, there is always another in need of touch. Gloved, my mother cared through a thin layer of separation while holding the head of a baby born smaller than a shadow. I think she liked the all-nighters, especially in early January, babies born just after the new year. She liked doing the kind things that love cannot do, adjusting another woman's breast, lifting the pillow under her head so the baby slips just above the mother's ribs, offering advice or comfort before returning to the NICU, the tectonic plates of mother and child drifting together, then apart. Often she delighted in the midnight coos, a love song for the phantom ache of babies she could never carry. Those tiny loaves, quick, unleavened, so eager to take touch like communion, while she loved what remained, leaving her impoverished soul open and gaping. She shuffled through our house as if it had long antiseptic corridors, there but not there. Such is the life of one in service to others, under no illusions about the gift of grace. My mother, whose voice is the sound of love becoming, seldom wondered what became of those raindrops, whose first days of life were x-rayed, poked, prodded, their sentences commuted to time served. Yet they will not remember this time, when they were barely more than zygotes, as it should be, as if they were never there. So when my daughter, I have two kids, and my youngest is my daughter, who's 5 now. When she was born, she had a medical condition called coarctation of the aorta. So she had to go in for emergency surgery at 2 weeks old. And she's perfectly healthy now. And she will, we call her our free spirit. She's terrific. The small plans. You won't remember this. Not the shallow breathing and gray lips, not the vomit. Not the milk that overtook you like a breached levee. Remember nothing. Not your heart, a hymn beating so faintly. Not the midnight emergency visit or the staff of 15 swelling to save your little life. Not the incision, your line of demarcation. Not your muscles working against each other, despite each other. Forget coarctation. Forget the tubes, the IVs, the doctors with their bad jokes, the nurses with their latexed hands. Not your father feeding you sugar water with a cotton swab, or your mother kissing your lips pursed tight as a clasp, those perfect lips God gave you. Is it true he doesn't give you more than you can bear? Forget I asked. Forget him. Forget the small plans we have for today, watching you vanish and reappear in the space of my hands. You who have been blessed by pain, forgive your first 2 weeks of life. Amen. I'll just finish with 2 more. I tend to read one for my daughter and one for my son, who couldn't care less about the poetry, at least before the book came out. And then I told them, well, I have poems about you in the book. And they're like, oh, that's so cool. Read the poem about me. So I do that. So let's see. Saying yes. If you find yourself awake and alone at 4:30 in the morning, you wait until you hear that first bump against the wall, the shifting of sheets, the bounce of bed springs. You wait for the first toy to be kicked and some obnoxiously loud children's song to disturb the air, and the shuffle of footed pajamas on hardwood floor to follow. You've waited for this moment all night, maybe all your life. When that ghostly half figure enters your darkened room, nothing visible but his outline. Before your box of a voice finds its first words of the day, you wait until your son tugs on your arm and says, Mommy, all you have to do is say yes. And, since, Nin and Meg opened the door, I was going to read this poem, but since we're all here, we're all friends, right? We're all friends now. This poem is called What Mommy Wants, and it has a few things to tell you about. A few place names: O Buster's Fruit Stand, Coffee Time Donut Shop, a reference to an OIP nail color called No, I'm Not a Waitress Red, and a mention of the shoes Candies, but like from the late 80s and early 90s, the thick wooden ones. What Mommy Wants. I want a pair of Candies. Make them cheap and tacky. High-heeled wooden stilettos, stiletto from the Italian word for dagger. White leather upper with silver studs along the sides. Open-toed pumps with just enough wiggle room for my toes painted No, I'm Not a Waitress red. I want a pair of Candies. Make my legs curvy and dangerous. I want to strut down the street in a pair of Daisy Dukes and a halter top, past O Buster's Fruit Stand, past Coffee Time Donut Shop with its real cream Bismarcks and apple cider crullers, past the wobbly scaffolding and the morning commuters at the train station. I want the hard hats on break to drop their coffees and shout, nice gams. I want women to take one look at me and think, here comes trouble. I want to be a tawdry wench, the kind of woman mothers warn their sons about, the kind that makes a priest give up religion. I want my husband to strip me naked, bend me over, leaving on just my candies, as if he were cheating on his wife and getting away with it. Thank you.
All right, I welcome you to the open reading. I hope you'll come to next month's reading. There's a little flyer out there with all the readings that are going to be going on here. And the one that's not mentioned is the second weekend in June. We're going to have a reading celebrating the anthology Working Words, edited by M.L. Liebler, and Laura Boss and I will be reading. M.L., a number of other people, Joe Weil, and a number of other people will be reading for that anthology. It's an anthology of poems about work and poems about working class and poems about working. It's really quite wonderful, and it's Coffee House Press published it. So I think it's going to be a very exciting reading. Anyway, I'm going to call you up and ask you to read your poem, Bob Rosenblum, and because we don't have that many people signed up for the open reading, did you? Okay, I'll have you sign in a minute. I'll say that you can read 2 poems, but don't make them 2 45-minute poems, okay? 2 short poems, okay? And the first reader is Bob Rosenblum.
Thank you, Maria. The first poem is a poem that comes from a workshop here at Paterson. Normally, there are workshops with featured readers. This is a special day, so there weren't workshops, but this came from a workshop with Honore Jeffers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And the exercise was use your place of birth, the first names of your parents, a road or a street where you grew up, and the year of your birth, something like that, and do it in 6 lines.
Do it in 6 lines?
Yeah, that was the challenge. It's called 1949. I used it in the title. Brooklyn. Izzy and Sonia fight in the car over my first and middle name.
Put that up. I lowered it for me, and I can't hear you.
Oh. I don't have to repeat the intro, do I?
No. That we heard, but the poem is not.
1949. Brooklyn. Izzy and Sonia fight in the car over my first and middle name. They're on the Belt Parkway heading for the hospital. She thinks her bag of waters broke from bickering. They pull off to the side of the road where forsythias sing all about spring in a wet snowfall. Thank you.
And did you say she blames him for the broken water?
Adoption papers. I'm the youngest of 3 brothers, makes me the baby, which also makes me someone who got teased a lot growing up. And this was in one of the Paterson Literary Review journals. When our parents were away, my older brothers teased me. They said I was adopted, that the papers were up in the kitchen cabinet with the other important papers we kept beneath the portable broiler, which I couldn't reach without standing on the kitchen table, which I wouldn't do. When I asked them to take the papers down, they said a judge had ordered them moved. If I'm ever recognized for something important, I'll deny I'm related to those morons.
Now, I don't know whether this is a person who wanted to read or was signing up for a mailing list. This is Joanne and Jerry Stupak.
No, we signed the wrong list.
You signed the wrong list.
Make them read.
I'll read my driver's license.
Oh. Janet Ulrich.
I wrote a poem entitled Vanity, and this contains the concept, Shakespeare's concept in Macbeth, about all human endeavors being worthless. That's what I mean by vanity. I don't mean, the type of vanity related to cosmetics, for instance, looks and cosmetics. What happened here is that I received notice of a poetry award. I won a poetry award with David Massenio's magazine, Sensations. And it was published right in the center of the particular journal. It was a centennial journal, so it was quite an honor. And unfortunately, the journal arrived on the day of my mother's funeral. And that led to this poem. It took almost 2 years to write this. Vanity. Fame and fortune were in vain, less a blessing than a bane, causing misery and pain. Nothing will remain the same. Tears won't bring her back again, though they fall like pouring rain, like an indelible stain. Fame and change were hence to blame, all my hopes forever slain. And the next poem, since we're, in the Easter season, and my mother was a part of these readings. She was an artist by profession, but she also wrote beautiful poetry, Italian laments, as Maria Gillen knows. So she was part of these readings for years. And this is entitled The Cross of Loss, conveying the idea, it's a lament from my mother, but it conveys the idea of Easter. The Cross of Loss. I bear the cross of loss since you have left this earth, the homeland of our birth, devoid of hope and mirth. I bear the cross of loss since you have left this life, fraught with pain and strife, as deadly as a knife. I bear the cross of loss since you have left this sphere, rife with both doubt and fear, as you're no longer here after many a year. And I just want to make an announcement. There'll be a reading at the Englewood Library on the 4th Tuesday in the month of May. Oh, I'm sorry, the 5th Tuesday. Dick Burnham, of course, caused a lot of trouble with his semi-retirement. This is a reading that was originally conceived in March, but the readers will include myself and Mary Walsh and Fausta Weir and some others. And it'll be held on the 5th Tuesday in May. And it'll start at 8 o'clock with the featured readers first, and then time for an open reading later. So hope you'll be able to attend. Thank you.
H.A. Jennings.
Hi. The quick genesis of this poem, you can imagine going home. Up here, it would be WINS. Down in our area, it's a radio all-news station called KYW. And during the course of this ride home, which is not that far, they were talking about all kinds of stuff on the radio. And when I got home, my head was getting ready to blow up. And I said, God, if I could just make it all go away. And somewhere in the back of my mind, this little voice said, it's a possibility. It's a possibility. But they were talking about all of the things that were going on in the world, war and drugs and all kinds of unspeakable things. So this poem is sort of like a prayer. It's called The Realm of Possibilities. In the realm of possibilities, the lions will unmoor themselves from the steps of the New York City Public Library and walk the streets of New York, smiling at the multitude as children rub their manes, kiss their noses, and offer bowls of milk for them to drink. And winos leaning on the DTs will give up the bottle at the wonder of it all. And in the realm of possibilities, peace will be still, if only for a moment, and all will bathe in its glow as enemies will see each other as themselves and walk together, and wars will cease to exist, while the Red Sea will part once again, revealing a 2-lane highway covered with roses, lilies, and rainbow-colored heartbeats where all will traverse in understanding and peace. Be still. In the realm of possibilities, crack will be but a fissure in a sidewalk, and poppies will be loved for their beauty and not their lethal distillations. And gangbangers will bang on drums and not each other, heralding a new day, as they mold their guns into mallets with which they play their tunes, while their minds, like moths, emerge from their cocoons of ignorance and self-loathing, clear their eyes and move to the light. And in the realm of possibilities, those that cause pain will feel that pain wrap its tentacles around their hearts and squeeze, till all they have done wrong envelops their visions, infects their minds, and fills their souls, till they share with their victims the death of their despair as they fall to their knees in prayer, beg forgiveness and mean it, and understand love and feel it. And in the realm of possibilities, those who seek power, think they know power, and prescribe what all should know, what all should do and be, will know at last the real truth of power, that power is love and love is power, and that they need nothing more. And they will give up their egos, abort their quest, and stand equal with the rest, all of humanity, in harmony and in peace. For in the realm of possibilities, all possibilities are possible. One must believe it and then work to make it so. And that's sort of my prayer for peace. And this is almost a haiku. It's a little short thingy, only a couple of lines. So, and I wrote it after listening to Stanley Kunitz read at the 2002 Geraldine R. Dodge Poetry Festival when he was 98 years old. And he stood there like a giant. And I wrote this. The oldest of the old yet still the youngest of the young, shows how deep the well can remain, how fresh its waters can be, when the spirit stays vibrant and true to itself. For Stanley.
Napoleon and
I'll say it.
say it.
Hi, Napoleon Nikolai Zhivkovich. I'm a cultural historian and current historic preservation commissioner for the city of Paterson. And I just have a quick poem and an announcement. For 22 of its 33 years, I was a patron and employee of a legendary rock club on the Lower East Side, CBGB's. And one of my elders was a woman named Kathy Doherty from Queens, who her stage name is Cherry Vanilla, and her memoir, Lick Me, was just published late last year. So I'm going to read a quick little poem. On a blue horizon, when the world was young, rare birds filled the morning sky. Their songs on air were sung. Now they're gone forever. Sometimes I wonder why, and then a song comes on the air. We're rare birds, you and I. That's it.